We're going to start this morning's yoga core seated position, just starting with a little bit of breathing. So these are both, the first few exercises are going to be a little bit more from like the Kriya Yoga. So take a moment to sit up nice and tall, however you're comfortable. I'm sitting in Vajra. I like to stretch out my ankles here. I'm sitting right on my heels, okay? Just roll your shoulders back and down. Make sure you're not too tense. Shake your shoulders out. Just close your eyes now. Just settle in for a moment. Once your body settles a little bit, you tune inward, starting to feel the sensations of your body, your breath. Maybe start to breathe a little bit deeper. Remember, three-part breathing, so let's make the breath work today really focus on the core. So abdominal breathing. As I inhale, it starts deep in the abdominal cavity, so the abdomen kind of spreads forward and back to the sides. And then as I continue to inhale, it's moving up into spread the ribs, like the lower ribs, let's say, and then the upper chest and upper back. So it all starts with the abdominal breath. Remember, we are trying to elongate the inhale and exhale, not letting air rush in or out. Okay, so there's a lot of intention setting in the breath, but then also, once your intention is set, you have to control your attention. You can have the best intention in the world, but if you can't keep your attention on it, it does little good, right? So this merging of setting a quality, clear intention, and then keeping your attention on it. So I'm just giving you a moment here to take a couple full quality, what we call like three-part breaths. Let's call it abdomen, middle ribs, and upper body, okay? I like to add breath holds some days. When you're thinking core action, every single core muscle is a breathing muscle. You know, it's very clear that your abs help you breathe, okay? And your ribs, your obliques, even a lot of your lower back muscles, your psoas is connected to your diaphragm, which is your main breathing muscle. It's that big one that goes up and down here. It separates your abdominal and thoracic cavity. All right, so our next breathing exercise is really abdominal. So as I exhale forcefully, my abdomen stretches against my spine. It is an exhale-focused breath. It is a little bit faster, a little bit stronger, but not too stressful. You can do it out the mouth if you'd like. So this is called Kapalabhati, an exhale rhythmic pumping breath. If you watch for a moment, abdomen's going to strike against the spine. Now, the main question I get, out the mouth? You do it out of both, actually. Out the mouth is actually for cleansing like more of like your lower chakras, let's say, and then your energy centers. And nasal exhale there is more of higher chakras, okay? So I'll let you choose. If you can do it out the nose, do it out the nose, right? But roll the shoulders back and down. You're going to take a nice deep inhale. You're going to exhale about halfway, okay? And then it's a nice rhythmic. Usually we go for about 30 seconds a minute as a beginner. As we get better at this, it's more like multiple minutes or 10, 12 minutes, you know. So continue if you can. Remember, if you can't continue, most likely you're doing it too stressful. It's almost like there's a slight wheezing as you're doing this. There's a lot of abdominal contraction and movement here. Last few, see if you can continue, please. And the yogis, if we're talking ancient yoga, this is way more ancient than down dog and way more ancient than warrior one. You know, this is the Shat Karmas, the original cleansers of the body. And there's only 6 of them mainly. And it is in the tapas practice too, right? The 84 tapas. And that's like a different lineage of yoga. Okay, really remember that breath because it's very powerful, cooling your body down, releasing stress, which would be more out the nose. All right, big inhale. Hold your breath. And at your pace, exhale, come off of the feet there. I do want to do one more breathing now. This is called Bhastrika breathing. So breath holding, Kriya breathing. These are all part of the main breath works, pranayama. Now we're going to do cat-cow a little different. I want you to think Bhastrika, which is inhale, exhale, rhythmically. So it is a little faster. So we're going to do cat-cow like that. I want you to get into your core. So we're going to go cat-cow. A little, you start a little bit faster this morning. But notice I'm not going as deep. And I want your breath to go into rhythm with your movement. Inhale, cow, exhale, cat. It looks and sounds like this. So I want you to close your eyes and see if you can get into a little bit more faster. Bhastrika breathing, let me be clear, is this. It's almost like Kapalabhati, but with the inhale now also. In and out the nose if you can. And have the cat-cow go with that breath. Let me try to give you another minute and a half to get into that. Close your eyes and make your body this kind of like pumping up and down of your core. Get into it more. Do a cat-cow in a different way that you normally do. And I will be clear, this is the Kundalini method. It is from Kriya. So it's a Kundalini like energy way. You're not like going like hyper range necessarily. And maybe you use your shoulders a little bit more, adjust your hips a little bit more, adjust your mid-body a little bit more. Keep going, guys. Get into that. Close your eyes. Link that body and breath. All right, yogis. When you're done, shake it out. The first exercise here is now to stabilize your abdomen. It's not to do your core right now. Inhale, right leg, left arm. Exhale, left hand, right knee down. Inhale, opposites. Just don't arch your back as you lift. Pull your ribs in, okay? You just were arching your back and rounding your spine. Now don't do either. Just move your shoulders and your hips. Continue. Close your eyes if you can. Next exercise, after you do, what I like to say, it's like 10 to 12, about, right? Depends on how you're feeling. Downward dog is next. Take a few moments. Feel a little bit more now into like your stretch of your underarms. It's called your lat. Really big muscle that stays tight when your arm is here a lot. And then you obviously want to stretch out your calves here. So downward dog, please. Maybe child pose if you feel like you need. Right. Over there. So something a little bit different today, and again, I want to let you get into it. So I'm going to demo, and then you're going to kind of just get into it. So we're actually going to meet down on the knees. Now, the easier is kind of like sitting on your heels, opposite hand across to the shoulders, and it looks like this. We do this type of stuff a lot, but we haven't done it like this in a while. Now, I suggest starting with a lot less range, and I want you to really tune into your core. A little bit easier is like hands on blocks, but I do want some tension in the core. So we're starting with this circumduction motion. Now, if you're pretty good at it, you go upright on your knees, right? So now your knees and your hips are gonna be more what's called like open chain, like they can give to tension. So I want you to get into this and really go slow. So I'm side bending, and then I'm going forward like a hinge, and then I'm side bending, and then I'm like back bending. Now, going from side bending to back bending is a challenging motion for your body, okay? So just be easy. What I don't want to see, what makes that more risky, is no engagement of the butt. So people will be side bend, watch, and then they'll arch their back, and they'll think they're back bending really. By back bending, I want you to include what's called hip extension. So think of it like a hip back bend. So it looks more like kind of this, right? Where you're almost into that camel. And I want you to continue now. Now close your eyes and then just circle via the core. All right, a couple more. Yeah, practice is a little bit easier right now, but there are ways to make this more challenging. You know, we do this on the feet as well, standing up. A lot of times when you do this, you have people hold like a 5, 10, 15 pound, like let's say like an exercise ball or a weight. Some people put like sandbag on their back when you see them doing this, and you do that same thing with some weight on your body, and that becomes a whole different thing. Now, same thing, look, just step your left foot forward and do the exact same motion, but now my hips are also moving. Be easy. So core circling. So if you have like a little weight and you wanted to hold it, that'll be a lot more core work. You're gonna feel this a lot more in your hip now. Hips or core, okay? Circle both directions. Second leg. So from the side, you're here. Now, a lot of times you'll do this like really slow. Like I'll say lean back. I'll say take 20 seconds to get into your lateral left side bend, and then pause there. And then I'll say take 20 seconds to come into like a spinal round and forward bend, pause there. And then take 20 seconds to get into your right lateral side bend, pause there. And that's where you really turn this into more challenging strength. But we're just using it a little bit more in that free movement for now, okay? When you're done, please take your time. Downward dog, second round. A little bit more disciplined hold, less movement. We will take vinyasa chaturangas now. They're hard to beat, yogis. They're super good. A little bit more linear in structure now. On your inhale, nice and slow, shift forward to your plank. A couple extra push-ups might do you good. On the exhale, make sure you keep those elbows down, elbows in. You bend the elbows, lower down. Take your inhale up into your cobra. I'm not going to go through the basics there right now. All regulars. So I'm just going to tell you to do a few chaturanga type movements. I've mentioned beginners would be on the knees, lowering down to the chest, taking gentle cobra. And that's a good point. A lot of people don't do enough gentle cobra. They think it's like easier, but this, guys, has a lot different effects than this. They're very different postures, you know. It's very important to recognize to do this a lot. And this is going to strengthen your lower back arch because you're what's called spinal extension. Press my pubic bone and feet down and lift my chest. It's really important to recognize you got to do your gentle cobras often. All right? So if you're one of those people, you're always going up into those up dogs, always going up into the stretchy high cobras, stay down there more often. Don't use your arms. Lift via the back muscles. All right? With practice in high cobra, you're also going to get that more because you're going to use your back muscles to lift up more and down more. You're going to use your hands less. Just some food for thought to look at our patterns, all right? All right, guys. I want to go one more time here, down to the knees. So we did some big front body back work here. I want to do two more things here for core and then hips. Right leg, left arm. If you want to do this in plank, by all means. Plank posture is what we do in intermediate yoga. Pull your belly in. Inhale, lengthen, lift. Exhale, round and squeeze. Now watch me. I'm going to add. Inhale, watch. Exhale. I want to reach my right heel behind me, pull my ribs in, and my left hand behind me like I'm grabbing the foot. That's my extra exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Last few. The key is not to let your back overarch when the leg goes back and up. Intentional arching your back can be good for you and create some body conditions that are desirable. Arching your back without intention can create very undesirable body conditions, particularly lower back irritation. It is a very good thing to understand that pulling your abdomen in is a very simple way to support the lumbar spine. Your lumbar spine, it has a lot of muscles here to support it, but a lot of those muscles are not developed on the average person. You might think your core is strong. I know a lot of people think their core is strong, it's not, because they do crunches or have like a six-pack. There's a lot more to it than that, all right? Because when your back arches, your abs ain't doing much unless you activate them, all right? So it does take a lot of effort to teach your body to stabilize itself on a more subconscious level, like you're always pulling your abdomen in. I was teaching a private, all right, so let's do our second side. I think some of you has already switched. I was teaching a private to a younger lady, and she was like, it's really annoying to always have to remember to pull my abdomen in because she sits like this all the time. And I'm like, you really need to learn to do this. And like all class, I just kept saying, pull your abdomen in, pull your abdomen in, pull your, and she was like, she literally like got emotional, right? Because she like almost started like crying a lot because she started to like tear up a little bit. And I was just like, no, you know, it's okay. And she was like, it's really hard to remember that. And it is. It's not easy to constantly be on yourself about not letting your back arch, but you have to watch that, yogis, because if we just overarch our back, even standing, you are going to get, you know, more of an opportunity for like slip disc, herniation, bulging discs. It can lead to things that are really hard to like undo. All right. So you got to start now. Pulling that belly in. All right, guys. So that was a little bit more for like my core. All right. Take a moment if you need. Now I'm going to do those slow hip circles that we do. All right. It's quite simple. Right leg's going to go back. So one more thing here. Now I'm going to bend the knee. Okay. Now really slow. I want to lift the knee up, pull the heel to the butt. Okay. And then I'm going to just slowly turn my hip out. All right. So it's going to feel a little weird. I'm going to kick the heel back. So it's kind of hard to see. So my leg was up and back, right? And all I did was turn it out. And I kick the heel back behind me. You're going to feel your butt light up, right? Okay. And then I'm going to bring the knee wide toward my right shoulder. I'm going to pause there. I'm going to lift the knee higher, the foot higher, the knee higher, the foot higher. Okay. And then I'm going to bring it more toward the shoulder. And then I'm going to go under, across, kind of toward my left wrist and try to pull it up and under and squeeze my right inner thigh to my left. It's all core. It's all squeezing. Okay. Then I'm going to go back up again, backing up. Drop my right hip down, lift my right heel up. Yeah, now squeezing over the butt. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And then boom, I'm just gonna open that hip. It's kind of like scorpion posture in dog, right? So I'm here, and then I went here. And I push that heel behind me. You're gonna feel that booty light up, okay? Yeah. And then boom, I'm gonna bring it wide. Okay, I'm gonna lift the knee up, the heel up, the knee up, the heel up. And then I'm going to go right knee to right shoulder. Sorry, I didn't mention you pause halfway there first. Okay, then you squeeze it under to your left wrist. Now go in reverse, same side. Right leg goes out and up.
Same side, but now in reverse circle. Lift it up, lift it up, lift it up. Heel higher, knee higher. Now go back, okay, like you're pushing it behind you. Lift that foot higher, knee higher, knee higher. Pull the belly in, archers. Okay, and then turn the knee down. Drop the right hip, pull the belly, lift the right heel. Go right knee, left wrist. Curl into a little ball here. Pull the heel up, squeeze the knee, go wide. Pull the heel to the shoulder, lift it up higher. Try to relax your neck a little bit, yogis. Now go back wide, so it's like the half scorpion. This is it. You're almost there on the first side. Make you do it twice each direction. That's it, okay? I find I can get really good burn in that. Okay, now go back down to what I like to call leg neutral. So you were here. Now you go here. Lift it up, squeeze the heel to the butt, pull the ribs in, heel to butt, lift the thigh, pull the ribs in, right knee down. Shake it out. You know, there's a lot of different ways to do this. If you noticed, I actually cued it a little different than last time we did it. There are some similarities, but it is a little different there if you notice. A lot of ways to do this stuff, okay? Here we go. Left leg. Uh-oh, somebody just left class. They must not have liked this. Pull the belly in, squeeze your heel to your butt. So listen, yogis, my upper leg bone is called my femur. I want to lift my femur, pull my ribs in against it. That wants to lower my femur. So I have to lift my femur, my biggest leg bone, pull my ribs against it and squeeze my heel to my butt. Now neutralize the knee, just turn the hip open behind you and kick that leg behind you. But try to pull your ribs in, press your hands down. So we're getting a little bit more detail. I'm pressing that left leg back and behind you. Okay? Now go slow. Bring the knee wide. Pause about halfway. I don't think I was clear about that first time through. Lift the knee higher. Lift the foot higher. Lift the knee higher. Lift the foot higher. Now bring the left knee to the shoulder. Left knee, left shoulder. Now left knee, right wrist. Left knee, right wrist, maybe even right elbow. You can pull up a little higher, a little bit more adduction. So you squeeze that left thigh toward the right thigh and you pull that knee up higher toward the right armpit. Yeah, you try to enjoy yourself here. And then you go back and up. So let's start what I call that neutral leg lift up and back. And then you're gonna start by squeezing the heel to the butt. So you point your toe, your legs back up, left leg's back behind you. Now just reach into the back of the room, how we started. Now squeeze your butt. Remember to lift your femur. This is your femur bone. This thing here. You lift that back, but don't let your ribs pull arch. And you squeeze it, go to the butt. That's the extensions, hip extension and posterior tail compound I'm always talking about. You learn that, your body's gonna change big time. Now go slow. Neutralize here. Just turn the leg out, but keep the femur bone back. Don't bring it wide yet. Keep it back and push it back. Feel that butt turn on. So that's lateral rotation and extension. So that's also a double glute. Those two together, posterior tilt, lateral rotation and extension, that takes care of all butt mass. Okay? Now go wide. They call it fire hydrant posture. Fire hydrant posture. So it's like the male canine peeing on the fire hydrant. Lift the knee, lift the leg. Lift the knee, lift the foot. Press hands down equally. Don't lean to the right too much. Keep your weight centered. Okay? Bring it to the shoulder. You guys still with me? I can't see anyone really. Left knee right up, left knee right wrist. You know, I call this class core and mobility. So what we're doing, yogis, this is mobility and it's core. Now, reverse, back out. Same leg, reverse circling now, as slow as possible. Canine, knee lifts, foot lifts, knee lifts, foot lifts. Shoot it back, the leg is back, but you're still very laterally rotated, it's called. So I'm not here, I'm here. Push that heel behind you, pull the ribs in, press your hands down equally. Okay? Now go slow. Turn your left hip down, lift your left heel up, pull your ribs in, squeeze your heel to your butt. Pull your ribs in, lift that femur. Straighten your leg, left knee, right wrist. Yeah, one more go at it. Come on now. Yeah, left knee, right wrist. You pull it up a little higher, you adduct more. That's key because this is the adductor of the sequence. It's basically the only one. Now we go abductor, the opposite. Left knee, left shoulder. Left knee goes wide, but also still kind of crunched in more. Surprisingly, guys, compared to the kidney stretch, this is an easy version of this. Sometimes we will do this for like 20 minutes. Slower, more detail. You just hold that leg up there forever. Canine, left knee outside the left hip. Lift the foot, lift the knee, lift the foot, lift the knee. Eventually you want the foot actually a little bit more than the knee, okay? That is lateral rotation. Yogis, we want to remember that a lot of times in phasic exercise, well, let me just finish here before I give you something to think about. Now, shoot it back. It's like the half scorpion. So it says last time, Yogis, last time. It's the left foot shoots kind of, it's back, the left leg, but it's still kind of open, shooting like a cross behind. Nice, Steven. Killing it. Yeah. Now, neutralize, just squeeze your here to your butt. One last little squeeze, pull the ribs in, lift the femur. And then bring the knee down and digest that mentally for a moment. Let me just tell you why we have to do that sometimes, because your phasic muscles dominate. If we don't rotate the hips and the shoulders, your phasic muscles will dominate any tension and sheer strength. So what happens is your rotators are underneath this big shoulders. Let's just use the shoulders, a little bit easier to see. If I don't rotate ever in exercise, then my phasic muscles dominate all tension. My rotators, which are considered stabilizer muscles, get weak. What does that mean? Your joint's more unstable. I don't care how much your phasic muscles are strong. Your joints can still be kind of unstable. And that's how injuries occur. Because then all of a sudden you got to rotate an exercise or in a movement, and these aren't rotators, right? Your glute max luckily is a rotator because it's a weight bearer, but your shoulders in particular, you know, if you don't rotate in strength and resistance, it's asking for a shoulder injury. I don't care how much your delts or your glutes are strong. That's how piriformis syndrome starts usually. Get out of there. All right, so let's take a little moment. Let's swing around. So that was killer hips, right? I'm gonna do just, instead of like bridges today, because that was a lot, I'm gonna do like sliding bridges, but I wanna get into the abs a little bit, all right? So here we go, let's lay on our back. So I'm gonna switch up the tension pattern. And what I'm gonna do, guys, to keep it in your abs is keep your feet down. If you have a block, place it between your feet. Now, we're gonna start nice and simple here, yogis, okay? As I inhale, reach my arms back, press my lower back down. As I exhale, little crunch. Now, look at, I slowly lower. I'm only gonna reach my arms about 3/4 of the way back. Exhale, little crunch. All the time, my lower back arch is flat. This is also gonna train you to keep your lower belly in. This is called the isolated symmetrical closed chain crunch. It's like basics. I still do it all the time. People sometimes don't wanna do basics. I don't know, they think they're too advanced for it or something, but basics are safer, very effective. So we're just doing this little crunch. And I'm having you do this because, you know, you came from this place where your abs were doing all this weird, like unstable, asymmetrical, having to stabilize and shift. So just something really nice and kind of tight right down the middle. You keep the abs engaged and you move a little. Okay, last few. Now, I want to bring you right into another one. Still same symmetry for now, okay? So now lower your head and lower back, shoulders down. If you have a block, keep it there. Start here, arms down, lower back down. It's very simple. A little bit more gentle as this. Here, lower back must stay down. As I go forward, it creates what's called like a lever or more weight, and my back wants to arch. It's the same thing. As my legs goes away, it wants to arch my back. Okay? It's the same thing. Look, you were doing this with your leg earlier and you wanted to create back arch, right? So don't let it. Now it's front line tension though. Okay? So you're here. If you're feeling good, you're here. If you're feeling really good, you keep the crunch. Little pelvic pop. Just to be clear, you know, pelvic pop is, you know, athletic in nature. So if you curl your upper body, and you do a straight leg swing, and you pop your pelvis, it should be on a good day. If not, stay with the easier versions. You got back pain, stay with the easier versions. Okay? So crunching your upper body, it's like a double crunch. Granted, if you're training athletes, that's what you have them do because that's going to increase core performance drastically. Double crunch, it's called. Your upper body's crunched and your lower body's crunching, reverse crunch, okay? Last few. So we will hit your abs again. I'm gonna keep it there for now. I do wanna think of it like vinyasa. That's basically what we're trying to mimic. It's kind of like a plank, and then now your back bend would be your bridge though. Okay, so let's do one warm up bridge here. We're gonna lift those hips and kind of meditate in it. If you wanna do a little bit more, you could go up and down. I kind of just feel my body. If it feels like a little bit more moving bridge is needed, I will. Some days I'll just go into bridge and meditate and work on kind of rolling my shoulders under and really tractioning my shoulders back and down. If you're holding bridge yogis, just don't let your knees buckle in or out. That's yoga in a nutshell in the beginning, just making everything we do more conscious. The body can be a very subconscious process just happening, muscles and stuff. We don't want to go on autopilot. We want to make the prefrontal lobes, that's the newest part of the brain, right? That a lot of the animals don't have. And it's kind of like the crown jewel of the brain, let's call it, right? And we want to work on the conscious development of applying this part of our brain into not only exercise, but life in general. I'm reading this book called Behave right now, and it's a huge textbook about behavioral psychology and biology. So we want to make sure you have an intention of trying to make stuff, in a sense, more conscious would be a way to say it, simply. All right. Same with breath. Breath can be very, very subconscious. No, we're trying to make it all come from more of conscious, intentional effort. Okay. So there's your bridge. Let's get out of there. Let's slowly take a quick stretch if you like. A little happy baby. Seasoned practitioners might go to plow. Happy baby's a nice place to just find a little bit of release. So that was symmetrical front and back line. Don't worry, we're gonna do asymmetrical to end class, abs. When in doubt, you do symmetrical abs, right? All right, now I'm gonna start rocking forward and back, and we're gonna make our way up to seated. We're just gonna stand right up, yogis. So I mentioned we're gonna do hamstring focus, and that's gonna kind of start now more. I don't want you to think of only doing core here and here and here. I do want to make sure you're recognizing that superficial back line, hamstring, back of upper leg connects to lower back arch. That's very clear in the science now. So let's start by hip hinging, okay? So feet are going to go a little bit about hips width distance, parallel forward, not turned open, okay? And I'm going to hinge, anterior tilt. I'm not bending far, squeeze my butt. Inhale, lengthen, butt, hamstrings, squeeze my butt, shorten my hamstrings. So I do have to go posterior tilt. See that? I actually do go here. Inhale, the opposite. Exhale, you squeeze it. Inhale, exhale. You hopefully are feeling as you bend forward. Here. Tension. Squeeze at the top. Continue. Don't round your spine. If you do this, you go posterior tilt spinal flexion. People are always like, I'm going to stretch my hamstrings and then you do this. I'm like, that's not a hamstring stretch at all. Because posterior tilt shortens your hamstring. That's the opposite of stretching a hamstring. Shortening is contracting. If you posterior tilt, you don't get hamstring stretch. That's why I'm bending my knees. I'm not trying to touch my toes. I'm trying to stick my tailbone up in a way. And then, okay, that's how we're going to learn to train our hamstrings for tension strength. A lot of people have like tight and weak hamstrings. It's basically the worst combo you can have in a muscle, all right?
Get out of there. Let's switch it up for a moment here. Now, the feet step together. I want to get to the side body a little bit. I love this one. It's one of my favorite exercises. Pretty much do it every day that I exercise strong. Intertwine your fingers, turn your palms up, and it's a double exhale. I am going to suggest mouth breathing now, okay? Strengthen that core by pulling the navel in and up and lengthening the side bodies, but also relax your shoulders a little bit. You know, we tend to be too crunched up there, okay? You know, granted, I can lift my shoulders up here because I'm not the type that kind of holds them up here all the time. And I'm very aware of when I do it. If you're the type that goes here, you have to be extra resilient about in class, particularly, you know, not going here. If you have weak traps and they hang really low, that's a big difference. You can lift more. On the average, I think most people are kind of lifting up here. Their shoulders are kind of too high up. Shoulders back and down in these exercises. Second round of hamstring tensions. Or I'm sorry, let's do our squats first. Not gonna have you do a ton, but yogis, today, since it's hamstring day, I want you to focus on squatting deeper. Because when I say hamstrings, I mean glutes too, right? So the deeper I bend my knee, the more hamstring is gonna be involved. The deeper I bend my knee, the more glute is gonna be involved. If I squat like this, there ain't no glute and hamstrings really happening, a little bit. If I squat like this, there is a lot of glutes, okay? So I want you to try a few deeper squats today. Now, if it's tough, what you do is you go over and you hold a door frame or anything. I'm holding my table, and that's gonna help me squat deeper. It's gonna give me a little bit more support. So if you have something to hold on to, like say, you know, people hold like straps, TRX straps, they hold a desk or something, and it gives you the support to kind of try to squat deeper. Now, try not to let your knees buckle in or out. So your knees, the question is, where are my feet? Well, that's tough because I squat in all of them, but try to find your most comfortable position, probably feet slightly wider than hips, slightly turned open. Not like this. You can't really get deep there. Don't let your knees buckle in. Don't let your heels lift. If you need to roll up something and put your heels on, that's fine, because a lot of people have trouble with squatting because of ankle flexibility issues. So you can put your heels on something, creating a little lift. That's also going to make this, you know, just more approachable for people. So you can hold something and put your heels on a little lift. Last few, we're practicing deep squats today, okay? Because a lot of times we're stuck up high in a squat. Squat by definition is bending down, right? So if you're always just squatting like this, pick a good day where you're trying to go deeper, right? There's days to use squat for strengthening, for range of motion building, for loosening up, and they're all done a little differently. I squat sometimes on one leg. 4 days ago, I took 225 pounds on my back and I squatted, right? So that was a teaching my body to bear weight day. Most days I'll squat like you're doing now. I'll even add a little jump, okay? Or I'll even get on like a Bosu ball and it's very unstable and I'll squat. So we'll call it tonic squat, balancing squats, okay? Good job there. Now, I want to do one more side body thing here. Now, this is a tension strength. We're going to revisit what we just did, but we're going to hold. So this can be enough for some of us. You're just going to hold here, lean back. If you want the big one here, anytime our arms are up or forward, it creates more lever weight, so you're going to hold here. Okay, try to do your opposite pinky in front. Remember always that if I don't say it. Okay. Lean the weight into the heels. Press the mound of the big toe down. Okay, notice, does my chest open up to the left hip forward, lengthen out, twist your chest a little bit more up to the sky. Hold position and breathe. A little bit middle ground is something like that, just holding and really working on a lot of integrity and strength. Remember that as a muscle lengthens and we strengthen it, it's like tension strength. The muscle's being pulled apart but has to be strong. And we're going to do compression strength for your hamstrings in a moment too. all right? That's like more like squatting in anyway. Back up to center, guys. Do your second side, please. Just get into it, have an experience, and breathe. All right, yogis, so we're gonna revisit hinging. This is really, I mentioned tonic. Anytime we can make something more balancy, it's more core. All right, just remember that. It's a good thing to always try to apply on a good day is more unstable exercise, okay? We don't want your body to become lacking balance stability. I don't care how phasic strong you are. A lot of them now, modern myologists are like, how's your muscle health? Oh, your phasic looks good, but you know, how's your tonic strength, like your ability to balance? So if you're studying the myology of strength, there's phasic, fast twitch, endurance, and tonic strength. They're like 4 main categories. There's a few others, but I'll keep it there. For the general population, we want to make sure balance is always remembered, especially in, you know, on your feet. Here we go. Left foot hovers, hands can go on hips. I hinge, I just turn this way so you can see. I am only going forward. Watch, I do not do this right now. I do not turn open. I want to be honest with myself and keep my body disciplined. I hinge forward and then I come back up. Now, if you had a 10-pound weight, you could keep it in your left hand. Your arm doesn't really like move. Your body just pulls it. So if I had like a 10-pound weight, I might do this. Okay. Now, you know, in the good old days, you know, we all be on the farm. You'd have to grow your food and, you know, walk, you know, far with weight, go, you know, whatever it was. We'd get weight-bearing exercise in daily routines, and now it doesn't really happen as much. So I like to suggest, you know, you go to the grocery store, use a basket, use it as an opportunity to build. It's basically the most classic way to train your body for weight bearing is just to hold weight and walk around with it. Don't overlook that opportunity. It is unreal. It can change your body because if you hold this, so when I train some people, physically train them, I will have them hold a weight, like whatever they can handle mentally, and I have them walk skillfully, a weight in one hand. I literally get paid to tell people to do that. And I say, you could just do it in the grocery store. You hold your basket and you go like this. And then you switch hands when you're tired, okay? Sometimes you hold 2 baskets and you walk. That's the true weight carry, all right? So let's do our second side. You're here and you're just gonna hinge. You're basically doing the exact same exercise we did, look. Now on one leg. You still want to feel hamstring tension, but there's going to be less because your hip has to stabilize more. Make sure to keep your bent knee and your spine long, okay? Don't round the spine here, yogis. Last few. 1 round. I do have 2 more standing exercises. Time's getting away from me, but we'll get what we can done here. I do want to do our twisting because there's been minimal of that, really. So we do have to twist. All right, yogis. So let's just do our warm up for our bridge here quick. So stand up tall, just hover your right foot, point your right toe. Now this is the key, is to pull your knee back. Don't let this happen. Doing this is much different than doing this. Remember I said femur bone back, ribs in? You've done this already. Okay, so right foot hovers, right knee in line with left, ribs pull in, squeeze heel to butt, release a little, squeeze heel to butt.
Release a little, squeeze heel to butt. Last few. I was hoping to give a little bit more time for this, but we can't really right now. So just doing this is a game-changing exercise, and then you can like hold it and pulse it. Don't let your knee go forward. That's a whole different thing. Remember that your hamstring attack crosses two joints, hip and knee. So you have to bring awareness into both of those and extend. Second leg is a very simple way to train your hamstring at any time. You don't need to be warmed up for this, by the way. And the warm up is this, the opposite, okay? So ribs in, left heel hovers, left foot back, left knee back, heel to butt, release, halfway only, maybe. Squeeze, halfway. Same thing, keep tension, but now a knee flexion hamstring. Go ahead. Or you could do Nordic hamstring curls, which is the most crazy hamstring strengthener of all time. I did them yesterday. I can't show them right now because I need something to hook my heels under. And then you lean forward with the weight. There's also a nice little way you can train your hamstrings. We don't ever do it in yoga, but like say I had ankle weights or a dumbbell held between my feet, I'd go like that. But they have to be weight or a band. I could wrap a band around my heels here and pull. It's another way, okay? But think about like using weight to pull your heel to your butt, okay? Get out of there. So I did want to remember that there's 3 hamstrings and we've been very linear. Let's just do a quick round, guys. Last lateral exercise. I'm sorry, we're not going to do things like side plank and lunges today. We're just switching it up. Our feet turn open. My right toes turn out. My left toes turn in. It's triangle. This is a hamstring hinge. I hinge like this. You're going to feel tension in the back, gracilis and membranosus. Membranosus is in your hamstring. Exhale up. Inhale, lateral, exhale up. Watch me from this angle so you can see it's all lateral. Nothing goes forward and back. Got it? I'm not turning my chest down. I am dipping my right hip down. That is a lateral tilt that lengthens right hamstring. Exhale. Inhale, exhale. Some people do it with like a weight, right? You see people in the gym, they'll have that kettlebell up here, and they go down and up. Down and up. We're doing a little bit more range, a little bit more pelvic tilt. I like to add the pelvic tilt. Okay? 1 round only, please. Somewhere between 6 and 15 reps. Second side. So we're not holding triangle. We're going in and out of it, creating tension, strength, particularly on the inner hamstring. And really, it's what's called your gracilis muscle. It's like your posterior, your most back groin muscle, adductor, posterior adductor. Crosses like the back of your knee here. And a lot of people get very tight there and weak, and that's the worst combo. Remember I said that earlier. Normally, tight muscles are strong. If a muscle gets tight and then weak, those are the muscles that need the most attention. All right, now I did want to do that last quick twist. After that, we are going to get right on our back and finish up class. So it's this right here. So we just did this, like asymmetrical straight leg rotation. We did very, we were here and then we were here. They're kind of like very forward and back. So I do want to go big. This is hamstring squat. So say you wanted to really strengthen your hamstrings in a deadlift. You take 2 kettlebells or you bounce and you go like that. Okay? That's how I would squat to do hamstrings really. And if I wanted to go big like I usually do, I'll put my feet raised. So I can actually squat deeper
Don't let your knees buckle in, but that's not what we're gonna do. Arms go forward. Down to the right, inhale up to the left. Go slow, twist down to the right with your core. It's kind of like doing this, yogis, on your back, okay? It's kind of like doing this, okay? But that leg is closed chain. Make it come from the core. Okay? It's kind of like three-legged dog. The leg goes up and open, then you bring it into the chest across. Okay? Second side. Don't let your knees buckle in, yogis. Now, if it's tough, you just twist less. So you go a little less down. I'm sorry, you would just less down. So you'd go like here and a little up. If it's easy, right, you go a little bit deeper, a little bit higher. Last few. You know, people do this with a band. Yesterday I did it with a band. I did start here. That's like the easiest, right? Or this, let's say the safest. And as you start to have that resistance be down, you pull it up, more complex movements in the core. So I want you to finish up just one round there today. We're gonna make our way down to the ground. So it might be good to stretch and touch your toes quick. All right, so big inhale. We'll step up to the top of the mat. If you wanna do something like this, you're more than welcome to. Okay, we can stretch and touch our toes here for a breath or three. So yogis, looks like we got about 8 minutes left in class. I'm gonna go right to the end with strength today. We did stretch class last night. You're welcome to do kind of a couple stretches on your own today. Okay, so let's make our way down to our back. And to close up class, I want to do it today. It's sliding bridge. And if you can't slide, unfortunately, there's not many good substitutes here. You need something that'll allow your knee to straighten and bend with weight. Okay, I did show some things earlier that you can strengthen with, but this is the one that we need to add more, okay? So let's lay on our back. Now your feet, your blanket can't be on your mat, or it's not gonna be able to slide. If you're on a rug, use plastic. What did we use? I remember somebody ripped up a cereal box. They have a rug. They ripped up a cereal box and took the two big pieces of cardboard, put them under their feet. And that allowed them to lift their bridge. I do want you to stabilize, yogis, okay? And what you're gonna do is inhale your legs forward. Notice my toes do start to lift. I keep my hips lifted. Exhale in. Slowly inhale. Exhale in, okay? Don't let your back overarch, so sliding bridges. Now, watch me. If it's too much, what do? I lift with one foot on the blanket. This left foot is not on the blanket. And I go here, I squeeze. I do keep my hips lifted the whole time. Okay, there's a little bit more modified. I mean, then there's crazy version. It's one leg like this. So one leg, 1 foot down, one leg sliding, easiest. Middle, 2 legs sliding. What's also fun is when you start to put a weight on your hips or a band around your thighs. One-legged is more challenging, sliding bridges, okay? So let's keep going here. Hamstring day.
I love that exercise, yogis, man. I tell you, you do that regularly, you know, with your hip hinges, because those are the two together. You know, this is the exercise we tend to lack the most in yoga, in the legs. You know, we do a good amount of inner thighs and rotational qualities, and hip flexion is just done way too much. Hip extension is done pretty good. But it's that knee flexion in resistance. You don't get that much, you know. Yeah, you do hip hinges, but that's straight leg. And most people round their spine there. You're not really getting much hamstring on the average person. This is the one, yogis. This with like the one-legged hinge. Okay, so do one more round. I like to have a band around my thighs when I do this. I do Nordic hamstring curls instead of this. I do this some days. Thanks, Jasmine. So let's do one more round. I want you to get your hamstrings going today. We always do a lot of abs and a lot of glutes. Let's look at a muscle and bring a lot of attention to it so we can develop our understanding of how we work it. You obviously know how to stretch your hamstrings. How about to strengthen them? And the fun part is eventually we do other things. This is very linear. We do start to slide more like laterally slightly. We do start to have two blankets and do like almost like this kind of clamshell type thing here. We're not going to do that today. It's a little bit more like athletic advanced training, but just to kind of remind you that this does go a lot further than what we're doing today. One-legged is the big one here. Now, I do want to give you one last kind of like little ab tightener. All right, now that's the back body core. It is going to help you develop posterior tilt. It is going to help take pressure off your lower back. The key is not to arch your back too much there. You notice the trend? The back tends to arch a lot. It's like a compensation of the body. So I do want to do one more little ab thing. I know a lot of you come to this class to be like your peak ab session. And, you know, we just did like a twisting ab thing like this, but I wouldn't say it's like super, you know, twisty. So you could do this one here. So you kind of ground your body down, squeeze your block, your knees go left. You hold, keep your right ribs down, and then your knees go right. That's a tension strength. So as your legs go right, they create length in the weight, and then you exhale back. Inhale, you hold. And you really kind of pull your belly in and roll your right ribs down and try to feel that through the abdomen. A lot of this is you just kind of slowing down and really bringing it into the core with your mind. The neuromuscular connection, make it all more conscious. Okay, and if you did want one last core blast, just a little pulse, you could pulse like this. Okay, you could even hold the crunch and pulse laterally. So we did more like tension strength in the lateral bodies because we did the moving triangle. This is more like a compression strength, they call it, where you literally like compress to contract. So I'm just holding a little crunch and I'm tapping the opposite ankle. It's lateral. So you're basically going like this. But if there's one last little ab exercise you want to do, feel free. So nice job there today. How about we say like a stretch here to end? If you know, figure four could be good. Hamstring stretch could be good too, right? Where you're kind of just laying your back and you go like this. So you work on like straightening your leg more, flexing your foot more, and pulling. Okay. You know, it's funny, yoga is always like related to like stretching, right? The Sanskrit, I have never been able to find a word for stretch. There's not like a yogic word for stretch. And yoga, people always do yoga for stretching. Yoga is like a very active practice. You know, when we think about it, the meditators, they were sitting a lot. So they need to strengthen their body more, right? Most of the monks that I met when I was in India, they do all this physical labor all day. So they're not like exercising, but they're very physically active. You know, and then at that point, because they're up early, milking the cows and then in the garden, and then they're doing all this other stuff. They're building buildings on their properties and all this other stuff. They would do some stretching because they're so physically working in their day. If you're not that physically active with weight, maybe you shouldn't stretch so much. Okay. So listen, yogis, let's do our closing meditation whenever you're ready. If you want to kind of keep going on your own practice, it's all regulars. Just make sure you do at least a 2 minute, kind of closing, just centered grounding. As the yogis say, don't do too much, just be. So, you establish yourself in some type of form. You're just sitting kind of in the echoes of our self-study today. Shoulders back and down. Remember how practice started seated, or the more general thing is just to lay. And you just take a moment to kind of slow down. We did a lot. I was kind of explaining a lot today, so let's just sit together now in silence for a few minutes.